Okay, so today we will discuss the 16 qualities of Lord Ram. These qualities are mentioned in the beginning of Valmiki Ramayana, and they are quite important for us to understand who is Lord Ram. And you will see how different people interpret these different qualities in different ways. So actually, Valmiki Ramayana is a very interesting scripture because it starts with the glorification of the Lord, glorification of his qualities. Like the first four verses are talking about the qualities of Lord Ram through Valmiki and through Narad Muni. So the first verse, it's a famous verse. So those who don't know the first verse and who are interested in learning Ramayana should definitely learn the first verse at least of Ramayana. So this verse is Tapa Swadhyaya Niratam Tapasvi Vagvidamvaram Narada Paripapracha Valmikir Munipungamam. So it says, we'll not go much into the first verse, but it says that tapas swadhyaya niratam, which means this is talking about Valmiki. So Valmiki was engaged in tapa and swadhyaya. Niratam means always. So tapa is austerities, and swadhyaya means he was studying the Vedas and he was studying the Vedic literature. And then you have Tapasvi Vag Vidamvaram. So one Tapasvi is asking to another Tapasvi. Who is that other Tapasvi? Other Tapasvi is Narad Muni. Vag Vidamvaram means he is the perfect knower of all of the Vedas. So Narada Paripapracha Valmikir Muni Pungamam. So Paripapracha means you can see there is P repeated here like three times. Paripapracha, which means pa, which means that Valmiki was very eager to ask Narad Muni some questions. So this actually sets the mood for Valmiki Ramayana, this verse. It's saying that actually to understand Krishna or to understand Rama, we need three things. And what are those three things? Those three things are first, we should have tapa, we should perform austerities. We have to do some form of tapasya. Second is swadhyaya, we have to study the Vedic literature. And paripapracha means we should be eager to understand Krishna because there are a lot of people who perform austerities and who do swadhyaya, read Vedic literature, but they're not eager to understand Krishna or they're not eager to understand Lord Ram. So here it is said that actually these are the qualities of a good disciple, that who performs tapasya, who does his swadhyaya or who studies the Vedic literature, and who is also very eager to understand Krishna. So Paripapracha Valmikir Muni Pungavam. So what did he ask? So it's saying here that Valmiki asked Narad Muni some questions very eagerly. What questions did he ask? So that we will see in the next verse. So in the next verse, he says, Kon asmin sampratam loke gunavan kascha viryavan dharmagnyas cha kritagnyas cha satyavakyo dridhavrata. We'll go through the translation in a bit. Then next one is Charitrena chako yukta sarva bhuteshu ko hita vidvan ka samarthascha kas chaika priya darshanaha. आत्मवान को जित क्रोधा द्युतिमान को अनसूय कहा कश्य बिभ्याति देवश्च जात रोषस्य संयुगे. So these are described as the qualities of Lord Ram. So these, if you number all of them, these are 16. So Narad Muni is asked this question from Valmiki. Who is this person? So let's go to the verse again. He says, Kono asmi sampratam loke gunavan. So he says, in the current period of time, right now, is there any person like this who has all of these 16 qualities? So he's not asking historically, maybe in previous yugas, was there someone like that? No, he's asking about the current yuga. He's asking in the current period of time, is there someone who has all of these qualities? Now there is a history as to why he's asking this question also. So the reason why he's asking this question actually is because if you look at when he is asking this question when Sita is already in his hermitage. So Valmiki Ramayana is actually starting when Sita is already in Valmiki's ashram. So the whole Ramayana, the war has happened with Ravana. Rama has come back, and after Rama has come back, Rama has exiled Sita into the forest. So he has banished Sita to the forest in Valmiki's ashram. So Sita is with Valmiki, and actually at that time she was pregnant. So it is described, if you read the Valmiki Ramayana, that when Lord Ram was going to the forest, when he was going for his exile initially with Sita and Lakshman, it is said that he met Valmiki. It is said Valmiki Abhivadayan, which means that Lord Ram, Lakshman, and Sita, they offered their respects to Valmiki, and Valmiki gave them blessings at that time. So Valmiki was a contemporary of Lord Ram. So Lord Ram was there, and Valmiki was there at the same time. So now, so at that time, Valmiki obviously knew that Rama is the supreme personality of Godhead. So now, why is he asking these questions? Like, who is a person present at this time, at this current period of time, who possesses all of these qualities? So the reason he is asking this is that actually he had some doubts in his mind, especially after Sita was banished to the forest. He was thinking in his mind that, Lord Ram is the supreme personality of Godhead and he is a dharmagnya. He is a person who follows dharma. What kind of dharma allows a man to banish his wife into the forest, especially when she is pregnant? So he had this doubt in his mind, and to quell this doubt which arose in his mind, at that time Narada appeared. And that is why Valmiki thought that there is no better person to ask this question to rather than Narad Muni. So he asks Narad Muni this question about who is this person who possesses all of these qualities. So let's see what these qualities are. So Kono Asmi Sampratam Loke means who is there in the current period of time who is Gunavan, Kashya Viryavan, Dharmagnyas, Kritagnyas, Satyavakya, Dridhavrata. So we'll try to discuss, I think we'll only be able to get through 8 qualities today. We'll discuss the remaining 8 qualities next week. And I think next week is Ram Navami. When is Ram Navami being celebrated in India? Actually, does anyone know? Is it on 6th or 5th?
Sixth.
6th. And
Hmm.
what about in Australia? Is it 6th or 5th?
Next Sunday, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Sunday, okay. So I think everyone is celebrating it on 6th. Okay, so that's good. Yeah, so next Sunday, I don't know when is Bhakti Center having that program, if it's on Saturday or Sunday, but if there is time, then we can discuss um, this on either Saturday or Sunday, depending on when you guys are doing it in Bhakti Center on next week. So let me know when the program is next week, and then we'll plan next week's session accordingly. Um, but okay, so first quality of Lord Ram that is described here is Gunavan. Gunavan means what? What is the general meaning of Gunavan? Gunavan means one who has all good qualities or one who has all auspicious qualities. So, what kind of question is this? Like Valmiki is asking, who is a person who has all these good qualities? And the first quality he's asking is a person who has all good qualities. It's like saying, like you are sending your child to the grocery store to buy some groceries, and then the mother will generally give you a list of items to buy. She will say, okay, buy roti, buy atta, buy rice, buy milk, etc. But the first item she has written on your list is buy groceries. So, I mean, like, it seems like a bit redundant. Like, why is this quality actually mentioned? So, actually, this Gunavan has many different meanings. And Gunavan is explained by the Acharyas as being Saushiliam, which is considered to be the most auspicious quality for the supreme personality of Godhead. Now, what is Saushiliam? Saushiliam actually means his ability to mix with others. So, like for example, I'll give you one example. So, when Marich, you all know Marich, right? So this is one way of discussing Ramayana. Like instead of just reciting Ramayana story, what we will do is we will pick different pastimes from Valmiki Ramayana. And in this way, we'll cover the whole Valmiki Ramayana, but it'll be in somewhat of a structure. So it is described that when Marich took the form of a golden deer and he went to allure Sita, at that time he was appearing very beautiful and very dazzling. But the other deer that were there, they did not want to associate with this deer. In fact, they were running away from this deer. And that's what Lakshmana saw. He saw that actually, see, this golden deer is there, and all the other deer are running away from this deer. They don't want to associate with it. So he says, that's why I think that this deer is actually not a deer, but it's actually a Rakshasa. So Lakshmana was able to identify that. But if you look at the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for example, when he came in his Varaha avatar, it is explained that Varaha is nothing but a Shukara. Shukara means he is a in the form of a wild pig or in a boar. It is explained in Vishnu Purana that when Lord Varahadev came, he actually initially he associated with the pigs, and he actually went into the place where the pigs live, and he was rubbing his back against the pigs, and the pigs were also gladly rubbing their backs against him. So when the Lord appears as the pig, then at that time all the devotees or all of the other animals, they also associate with him. Yes, Prabhu, question?
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु।
Yes, Prabhu.
प्रभु, आई डिडंट वांट टू कट यू शॉर्ट, लेकिन मेरे को थोड़ा सा क्वेश्चन था, मैं आपसे पूछना चाह रहा था। इसको वी कैन कवर इट लेटर ऑन।
Mm-hmm.
भगवान के वराह स्वरूप को धारण करने का सिग्निफिकेंस क्या था उस पर्टिकुलर टाइम पर, मुझे
Okay.
ये बताना था।
We can discuss that afterwards. That is a very good question. We can discuss that afterwards. If we have time towards the end, we'll discuss that. Hmm. Okay, sounds good. So Varahadev, obviously, when he appeared in the form of when Lord Vishnu appeared in the form of Varahadev, at that time, all of the other uh, pigs, they thought, they were saying, oh, he is one of us, he is one of us, and they were identifying with him. So this is actually a unique quality of the Lord, that the Lord, when he comes, he identifies with those with whom he appears. And that is one of the qualities of pure devotees also. The pure devotees, they don't, sit above everyone else thinking, yeah, I am pure, you're all unpure, you're all untouchable, like that. No, like Srila Prabhupada was there. Like Srila Prabhupada used to associate with the hippies who were, like completely out of touch with dharma. They were not cleaning their hands even after pooing, and they didn't know how to eat properly. They were eating meat, liquor, alcohol, but still Srila Prabhupada stayed amongst them, and he considered himself to be one of them. So this is actually a very important quality of the Lord, which is known as Saushiliam. And this is actually considered to be the most auspicious guna of all gunas. So you can have all gunas on one side and this guna on the other hand. And you will see that this quality is very much important for the Lord, that the Lord identifies as one of us. So even though the Lord is completely above all of us, still he will identify with us. Now, where do we see this example of the Lord, of him being Gunavan? So actually we see that when Lord Ram was exiled into the forest, at that time his mind was completely fixed, like he was completely determined that he is going to go into the forest. And one of the reasons why he wanted to go to the forest is because he wanted to associate with the rishis that were living in the forest. And because he wanted to associate with the rishis, he was even ready to abandon his um, kingdom of Ayodhya. So the Lord is so merciful that he abandons his own kingdom and he comes down. So Gunaman means a person who leaves his high post of prestige and who comes down to mix with those who are on the lower post. Now you can see this is a very auspicious quality of the Lord, which not everyone can possess. So only the Lord and those who are the pure devotees of the Lord can possess that. So we see that even when Vishwamitra is ordering Lord Ram to fight against the demons, at that time also Ram says, Imausma Muni Shardula Kinkarau Samupastitau. So Lord Ram is also saying that, like you are the best amongst all Munis, and we, Ram and Lakshman, are your servants. So actually, like in Sanskrit, you have singular, you have dual, and you have plural. So singular is kinkar, double or dual is kinkarau, and plural is kinkara. So, like this, you have singular, dual, and plural. So, this quality of the Lord, where he was willing to associate or even become a servant. So, that's why Rama says, Kinkarau samupastito, which means that we too, Ram and Lakshman, we too are your eternal servants, he says. So, Lord Ram was willing to identify as a servant of the great sage. So this quality of the Lord is very much appreciated by all of the devotees. That and in fact, this quality of his actually opens the gateway to all other good qualities that any man can possess. And we will see how all of these qualities manifest in Lord Ram also. So just to summarize, can anyone tell me what is the meaning of what is the Sanskrit other synonym of Gunavan that we discuss? Just to see if you're all listening or not.
Saushilya, bro.
Yeah, Saushiliam is the quality known as Gunavan. So, okay, that's good. So, next we will move on to the next quality of the Lord, which is Viryavan. So, Viryavan again does not need much of a description, but you will see how this quality of Viryavan is also can be interpreted in many different ways. So, Viryavan means obviously a person who is very valorous now, or one who is not scared of anything. Now, if you look throughout history, you will find there were many, many Veeras. Veeras means there were many, many people or many, many kings who were great warriors who were not scared of going into battle. But the difference between all of them and Lord Ram is that Lord Ram was extremely confident in his abilities. So much so that he always gave the opportunity for a person to, either surrender to him in their right consciousness, or he would only fight with them when they were in a good position or when they were in the right state of mind, for example. So we see that even in the fight between Varahadev and Hiranyaksh, it is explained that Hiranyaksh dropped his gada, he dropped his mace. Then at that point, Lord Vishnu, he could have easily struck, Varahadev could have easily struck Hiranyaksh on the head with his gada. But he did not do that. He also left his gada. And then he said, you either lift up your gada or we will fight with our hands. So this is one of the qualities of the Lord. And this we see the same thing with Rama as well. Like who was the first demon that Lord Ram had to kill?
Tataka?
Yeah, Tataka. So he killed a female actually. So that was also a bit of an interesting thing. So Lord Ram could have easily killed. Lord Ram was very, very before he was about to kill that. Even though Lord Ram can easily destroy Tataka in less than a second, he was still very hesitant. He was still stopping and asking his guru, is it right for us to kill a woman? He says, I can dispatch her thousands of miles away so that she doesn't annoy you or doesn't bother any of the rishis. Should we really have to kill a woman? But at that time, Vishwamitra says that yes, actually, we have to kill her because she will keep coming back. She is very powerful and she needs to be destroyed. And then Vishwamitra gives him some reasons and some examples of how people have killed women in the past. So he gives an example of Indra and he gives an example of Lord Vishnu, how they have killed demon women in the past for protecting dharma. So we see that Lord Ram, even though he had the ability to kill, he didn't kill at the first instance. Another example we see is uh, his fight with Ravana. So when Ravana appeared first in the battlefield, at that time Lord Ram and Ravana they have a huge fight, and it lasts for a very long time. And at that time, Lord Ram destroys Ravana's chariot and he also destroys his weapons. So Ravana is left weaponless at that time. So then at that time, Lord Ram could have easily finished him. But Lord Ram said, I am not going to finish you because he says, why don't you go home, rest, think about your decision, whether you really want to fight me or not. And if you want to surrender on to me, I will accept your surrender. So you go, think about it. And then if you still want to fight, come back tomorrow, we'll fight again. So Ravana was sent back from the battlefield. Now, this is something that only a person who is truly Viryavan can do. Like we see that nowadays, or if you know the stories of World War II, World War One, like people generally they wear camouflage and they're hiding in the trees up the top. They have snipers who can see like 1 or 2 kilometers in the distance, and from there they can shoot their rifle without anyone having to see them. So these kinds of tactics were not used by the Lord, like, hiding and shooting arrows, etc., like that. Like that kind of stuff was not done. So Viryavan means that the Lord always appeared in front and he was always charging and he was always um, giving the other person opportunities to come back to him. So this is why the Lord's quality of Viryavan is very much different to the other people in this world, like of Viryavan. So this is actually somewhat of an good quality for us also, because it tells us that, we essentially, when we are sticking in the path of bhakti, we also have many, many different obstacles that come in front of us. So the main thing we have to do is just not turn our backs and not run away from Krishna. And Krishna will do everything for us. Like we have to just stick on the path and Krishna will eventually take us back home, back to Godhead. But if we deviate from the path of bhakti, then there is no hope for us, because then Krishna can't do anything as well. But if we are on the path, then Krishna, who is the Viryavan, or Rama, who is the Viryavan, he will take us back home, back to Godhead. Um, Interestingly enough, the Acharyas have given one more definition of Viryavan, which is quite different and which is quite interesting, actually, which I found. So they explain that Viryavan means a person who remains unchanged, but who changes the minds of others. So they give the example of musk, like Kasturi is there, musk is there. It's there in the navel of the deer. And when that musk comes in contact, or the smell of the musk comes in contact with other people, or when other people smell that musk, their minds become bewildered. They all become attracted by the musk. But the deer itself remains unchanged. The person who possesses that quality, he remains unchanged. So that is one of the definitions of Viryavan. So we see that when Lord Ram was exiled to the forest, at that time, Dashratha asks Sumantra to bring Rama back. So Sumantra is obviously his charioteer, and Sumantra takes Lord Ram all the way to the river, and then Lord Ram asks him to go back. He does not come back with him. So then we know that when Lord Ram left the capital, or when Lord Ram left Ayodhya, at that time his mind was just like a lotus. It is described that his face looked just like a lotus. He was completely unaffected by the fact that he had to go to the forest. He even says, that Rajyova Vanavasova. He says it doesn't matter whether it's the kingdom or whether it's the forest. He says, for me, both of them are the same. He says. So it is said that at that time his mind was completely unaffected. But Sumantra says that when he went back, or when Lord Ram left the kingdom, he tells Dashratha that even the trees in your kingdom, with their flower, leaves, and their buds, everything has dried up. He says that the water in the pools and the lakes has become hot, and the leaves in the groves and everything, all of them have fallen down. So Lord Ram was so powerful that his presence and his absence had an effect not only on the conscious living entities, but also on the unconscious living entities, or unconscious things also. So this, the Acharyas explain, is a higher meaning or higher definition of Viryavan, is one who himself remains unchanged, but who changes everyone else by his presence and his absence. So this is the quality of Viryavan. So anyway, so we discussed two definitions of Viryavan. Firstly, one who is extremely confident in his abilities and who gives a chance to the other person to either correct himself or even turn back to him in battle. And the other quality we discussed is this one, where he remains unchanged and he changes everyone else. Does anyone have any question about that? Or any comment? Okay, so we'll discuss the next quality of the Lord. which is Dharmagnya. Now, what is Dharmagnya? Okay. So, what is Dharmagnya? Dharmagnya means one who is the perfect embodiment of Dharma. Now, question is, what is Dharma? Now, and how do we understand what is Dharma? So, in Mahabharata, Yudhishthir Maharaj expresses his doubt. He says, Dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam. He says that to understand dharma is very, very difficult. He says no one can understand what is dharma. So he says Mahajana yena gata sapantha, which means that the following in the footsteps of Mahajans is considered to be dharma. But does anyone know who in Valmiki Ramayana is actually the teacher of dharma? Who teaches us what is dharma in Ramayana?
Ram.
Obviously, Rama performs and he shows dharma through his actions. But who tells what is dharma?
uh, Vibhishan Maharaj Prabhu?
No, we don't see any instance of Vibhishan teaching us what is dharma.
Vidur?
Vibhishan also took Sharanagati, but he doesn't teach us about dharma.
Hanuman.
Vidur?
Hanuman, no, Hanuman also doesn't really tell us or teach us. So, like, for example, like, uh, we always say you should practice before you preach. So, some people they preach, some people practice. But some people do both. Achar, prachar, kare acharya. So some people they do both. So Lord Ram, he doesn't really give instructions on dharma, like this is what dharma is, or what is the highest dharma, etc. He doesn't give instructions on that. He just practices it. But there is one personality who preaches and also practices. Who
Is
preaches
it Bhishma
the one.
Pitama or Vidur?
Sita,
Bhishma
Sita,
Pitama or Vidur?
No, this is
Sita,
we're talking about Ramayana actually. So yeah, the
Janak
correct answer
Maharaj.
is, huh?
Janak Maharaj.
No, not Janak Maharaj. Janak Maharaj also doesn't teach about dharma. So actually, the correct answer is Sita.
Sita,
You'll all be
yes.
surprised. Yeah, but in Sundar Kanda, you will see that Sita is the one who tells Ravana what is dharma. And she is telling how Rama is the perfect embodiment of dharma. So when Ravana approaches her in the Ashok Vatika, at that time we see that Sita is explaining what is true dharma. And she says that Rama is dharmagnya. So she says she gives two particular qualities of Lord Ram which are described as dharmagnya. Now there is a third definition also, but we won't discuss that. The two most important ones that we discuss are these. So the first one that she says is that Rama sympathizes with everyone's suffering. And she says that is the topmost dharma according to Sita. So Sita says that Lord Ram, if someone is suffering, then Lord Ram sympathizes with their dharma. So she says para dukha dukhi. So this quality of Lord is also explained by the Ayodhya Vasis. So when we know that Dashrath Maharaj was wanting to coronate Ram, he calls all of the Ayodhya Vasis and he asks them, should I make Ram the king? And at that time, all of the citizens say yes. So then Dashrath asks, why should I make him the king? And this is one of the qualities that they list also. They said that Rama is para dukha dukhi, which means that when we are suffering or when we are in pain, Lord Ram can also feel and he sympathizes with us in that pain. What are we like? We are exactly the opposite. When we see someone else is suffering, we become happy. We are like, oh yeah, maybe he's suffering the consequences of his reactions. That's fine. That's good. Yeah, but Lord Ram was not like that. Lord Ram, when he saw other people suffering, he would also feel immense pain in his heart. So, is there an example of this where Lord Ram sympathized with someone's pain or someone's suffering so much that, like it struck out as being, like, oh my God, yeah, he definitely sympathizes with other people's pain. See, that's why like everyone has heard Ramayana like thousands of times, but we don't see Ramayana through the angle or the vision of the Acharyas. So if we actually see Ramayana through the vision of Acharyas, then we will be able to really understand what is Ramayana.
Is this Shabri or Jatayu?
Jatayu is nice. Yeah, Jatayu is good. Yeah, we can accept Jatayu. But Shabari, no, she wasn't really suffering as such. So not really.
Ahalya? Ahalya?
Ahilya also, he didn't really sympathize with her suffering.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, the best example that the Acharyas have given is, you'll be surprised to hear this as well, but there is this pastime of when Lord Ram killed Vali. So you all know when Lord Ram killed Vali because Sugriva's wife Tara had been stolen from him. So it is explained at that time that after killing Vali, Lord Ram became so struck with grief that it is described that his grief was just like Tara and Angad. So obviously, Tara was Vali's wife and Angad was his son. So you can imagine how sad they must be when they saw their own father or husband being struck in the heart with an arrow and he's lying down about to die. So it is described that Lord Ram felt just as bad as Tara and Angad when he shot that arrow to kill Vali. It is described that Sugriva, when he was sad about Vali being killed, he came back to consciousness and he became sober. But Lord Ram, actually, it is described, he lost his senses and his power for some time. So Lord Ram was more grief struck by Vali's suffering than Vali's own brother Sugriva. So you can understand how Lord Ram was more paradukha dukhi. He identified more with Vali's suffering. And don't you think this is a very beautiful quality of the Lord, that the Lord actually sympathizes with our suffering? Like when we are actually suffering, Krishna is not just sitting in the spiritual world like, ha ha ha, yeah, you deserve to be punished like that. No, actually, Krishna is actually very much interested in redeeming us, and he is very much interested in making sure that we don't take repeated birth and death in this material universe. And he's always trying to help us throughout that process. So actually, this is according to Sita, she says that Lord Ram always identifies with a particular person's suffering. So she says to Ravana, she says that because Rama is Dharmagnya like this, he will identify with my suffering also, and then he will come here. Then she also explains what is Dharma. So now, actually, we know that Sita is the perfect personification of Dharma because when Rama and Sita were getting married, at that time, Janak Maharaj, he takes Sita's hand and puts it on Rama's hand and he says, Iyam Sita Saha Dharmacharini. He says that this is Sita and this Sita is always is a dharmacharini, which means that she always acts according to dharma and all her actions are completely in line with dharma. She says also to Ravana, she says that, you are just like a firefly in front of the sun, and my husband, Lord Ram, is like the sun. She says, she gives a second definition of dharmagnya. What is that dharmagnya? She says that dharmagnya sharanagat vatsala, which means that Lord Rama is such a great and such a magnanimous personality that if someone takes shelter of him, he will always protect them. So dharmagnya sharanagat vatsala, which means that he will always take care of them. So she says to Ravana that even if you go and take shelter of Ram, Lord Ram will give shelter to you. He will forget all of his animosity against you and he will always give protection to you also. So we see many examples of this, like Lord Ram gave shelter to Jatayu, Vibhishan, who was none other than Ravana's own brother, he gave shelter to him as well. And interestingly enough, we see that whenever Sita was there with Lord Ram, the offender was always forgiven. But when Sita was not there with Lord Ram, the offender was killed. One very classic example of this is, or there are 3 or 4 classic examples of this, is you can consider Surpanakha. Like Surpanakha was an offender to the Lord. Surpanakha, what was the difference between Surpanakha and Tataka? There was no difference. But they were both demonesses and they were both harassing the rishis and munis of the kingdom, of the forest. But when Lord Ram was faced with Tadaka, at that time Sita was not there. So that is why Lord Ram ended up killing her. But when Surpanakha offended the Lord and Surpanakha even offended Sita, at that time Sita was there and that is why her life was spared. So then when Lord Ram sees that Khara, Dushan and Trishiras, like all of these demons are coming, what does he do? What is his next step? Does anyone know what he does? When he notices that, these huge demons and 14,000 demons army is coming, what does he do?
Asks Lakshmana to look after Sita and he killed all those demons.
not just look after Sita. Actually, he tells Lakshmana to take Sita in a cave away from where they were currently living. So he asks Lakshmana to take Sita away. So Sita goes away. Because if Sita is there, then Lord Ram will not kill them. Lord Ram will not kill the demons. But if Sita is away, then he is free to kill all of the demons. So from this, we also understand that, like whenever we are taking shelter of the Lord, we have to take shelter of Ram and Sita, not just Lord Ram or not just of Sita. Because if we do that, then there is always a chance that something inauspicious might happen. But we have to take shelter of Lord Ram when he's with Sita. And there is the very famous example or very famous um, uh, pastime that we have discussed so many times of Jayanta or the crow who attacked Lord Ram and who attacked Lord Mother Sita. And at that time, Lord Ram dispatches his Brahmastra to kill that little crow. Now you can imagine a Brahmastra, strongest nuclear weapon, chasing a little crow. Yeah, and then at that time, Sita was there with Lord Ram. So it is explained that Trinlokan samparikramya tam evam sharanam gataha. So after traveling through the three worlds, when that crow came and sought shelter at the feet of Lord Ram, then at that time it is explained that if you read the Shastras, like in Padma Purana, it is explained in a bit more detail that crow actually he didn't know how to take shelter of the Lord. He didn't know how to do Sharanagati. So actually that crow came and he sat on the toe of the Lord, like with one of his foot. So he put one of his foot on the toe of the Lord. Now that's not how you take Sharanagati. So Sita saw that. And what Sita did is that she distracted Lord Ram. She says, "Oh, Lord Ram, see, all of the demigods have come to watch you." So then when Lord Ram looked up, Sita just picked up the crow, she put it in front of Lord Ram and put his beak to the ground. Now, this was the same crow who had offended Mother Sita by plucking at her chest. And this is that same Sita who is forgiving that crow who had offended against her. So that is why described as dharmacharini, that Sita has a very soft heart and she always follows dharma. And because Sita was there and that crow who had offended the Lord was forgiven. And that is why we see that when Ravana came, even though like Ravana, you could say that Ravana had abducted Sita, but he did not commit any violence against Sita. He abducted Sita, but he did not hit Sita or like do anything like that. Whereas the crow actually had offended Sita by even like plucking at her chest and making her bleed in that sense. So, but the crow was forgiven. Why? Because Sita was there with Lord Ram. And Ravana was not forgiven because Sita was not there with Lord Ram at that time. So Lord Ram was obliged to kill that demon. So that is why we understand that Dharmagnya means Sharanagat Vatsala, which means one who actually looks after those who have sought shelter at his feet.
Pandit.
Yeah. So yeah, this is the definition of Dharmagnya. So first definition of Dharmagnya was one who sympathizes with other people's suffering. That is described by Sita as topmost dharma. And then the second one she describes is Sharanagat Vatsala. Any questions or any comments on that? Does that make sense? Okay, so I guess that makes sense. So next quality is Kritagya. Kritagya means one who is very grateful or person who has gratitude for something that another person has done for them in the past. It may not be very recent, but it may be very much in the past also. So this is a quality that is very rare to identify, especially in the modern day world. It is very, very rare to see this quality of being Kritagya because most people are just interested in themselves. So much so that if you read poetry and if you look at saints, like generally they give examples of inanimate objects of being Kritagya. Like for example, the saints will say that, like if you look at a coconut tree, then even if you give it wastewater, like you take water from your house, clean, like generally in South India, I think this is what they do. Like they generally like clean their houses. And then when they clean their houses, like they collect that water that they clean the house with, and then they will throw that at the coconut tree. And even though the coconut tree takes that water, the dirty water that's come out of people's houses, it still provides them with like fresh refreshing coconut water through its fruit because it feels very grateful. So you can see that generally people, when they give examples of Kritagya, they generally use examples of inanimate objects because it's very hard to find human beings or people who are actually grateful towards another person. So in the Shastras, we see that there is one example of a Kritagya person in Srimad Bhagavatam, and we have read that pastime in the first canto itself. Can anyone remember that pastime of a person who was grateful or Kritagya? No one can remember? Yeah. So that is how you're meant to actually read the scriptures, through the qualities. But that's okay. So the qualities of Draupadi. Draupadi was very Kritagya. She was very grateful. So Ashwathama had killed 5 of her own sons. But still, she was grateful towards their guru, Dronacharya, that she says to Arjuna, she says that, your guru, Dronacharya has taught you this science of military weapons, etc. So what if his son has offended us? We should still not kill him. So Draupadi felt very grateful towards Arjuna's guru, Dronacharya, that she was willing to forgive his greatest offense of killing her 5 children, that too while they were sleeping. Now, this is a level of Kritagya, or this is a level of gratefulness that is very, very difficult to be found in people nowadays. So we see that Rama definitely also showed this quality of being Kritagya. So we'll discuss 2 examples from the story of Ramayana and one from history, actually. So we know that when Sugriva wanted to make friendship with Lord Ram, at that time Sugriva was only interested in having his wife back and having his kingdom back so that he did not have to run here and there to seek protection from Vali. So, in fact, it is described that he was not really that interested in helping Lord Ram. But because Sugriva came to Lord Ram and offered friendship and offered a friend known as Hanuman to Lord Ram felt very, very much obliged, that he felt that, okay, I will definitely help Sugriva in finding his wife and finding his kingdom. You might think it was like a contract or something like that, but actually they didn't sign any paper saying that, like, you will help me, I will help you, etc. So much so. In fact, it is said that even after Lord Ram killed Vali and Sugriva got the kingdom and his wife Ruma back, Sugriva actually forgot about his promise towards the Lord, that during Chaturmasya, he was completely engaged in sense gratification with his queens and also with drinking alcohol, liquor, etc. Like he completely forgot about his promise to the Lord. But Lord Ram still did not punish him for his transgression. He told Lakshmana, he gave Lakshmana a very important message. Lakshmana says, he told Lakshmana that if a person who is ungrateful dies, even his flesh will not be eaten by the beasts because his ungratefulness will stink so much. So Lord Ram explains that ungratefulness or ingratitude is actually considered to be one of the greatest um, adharma, what do you call, pillars of adharma. And actually that is why we see that it is there in Kali Yuga also, that people don't really have this quality of Kritagya. But Lord Ram definitely showed that quality of Kritagya. When Vibhishana came to the Lord and Vibhishana wanted to seek shelter at the feet of Lord Ram, what service did Vibhishana do for the Lord? Vibhishana, all he did was he told Rama about the strengths and weaknesses of Ravana's army, which actually Lord Ram knew already because Hanuman had surveyed the whole kingdom of Lanka, and he had described in detail, like he had given a full detailed report of what were the strengths and what were the weaknesses of Ravana's army and Ravana's kingdom. But still, Lord Ram asked Vibhishana just so that he can give Vibhishana the whole kingdom of Lanka. Like Lord Ram, when he killed Ravana, he could have easily ruled over Lanka also, because he rightfully killed the king of Lanka, and therefore he was rightfully the ruler of Lanka also. But Lord Ram actually gave his kingdom or Lanka to Vibhishana for a service that he performed, which actually didn't really have much significance in the eyes of Lord Ram, anyways, or in the eyes of the whole world. But for Lord Ram, it was quite significant, because he felt that, okay, Vibhishana is telling me about the strengths and weaknesses of his own brother's army. So Vibhishana is ready to have his own brother killed. And at that time, like when Lord Ram actually coronated Vibhishana, Lord Ram actually said that you are one of us. You actually belong to the Ikshvaku race, he said. And this is that same Vibhishana whom Ravana had said that you are a Kulapashan. Kulapashan means one who is the destroyer of one's own clan. So he was rejected by his own brother, but he was embraced by the Lord. And the Lord, he considered him to be a member of the Ikshvaku clan. So this is how grateful the Lord is, that the Lord actually will consider any minute service given to him, and he will magnify that. Sorry. To the largest extent. So that is the example of Kritagya. Another example that is given by the Acharyas is quite an interesting example, that, like when I'm doing these classes, I assume that most of you know all of the pastimes of Ramayana. So actually, there is this pastime of Jayanta, the crow. I've described this pastime before also. And when this crow Jayanta had offended the Lord, it is explained that uh, Lord Ram forgave that crow. So he used that Brahmastra, and he fired that Brahmastra at the eye of Jayanta, and Jayanta just lost one of his eyes. So Baddharam api kakutstha Kripaya Pariyapalayat. That is what is described. So over there, it is described that the person who gave Karuna is Kakutstha. Now, Kakutstha is a very interesting name of the Lord. What is the meaning of Kakutstha? So, Kakutstha actually refers to one of the ancestors of Lord Ram. So, it is explained that when Indra was once engaged in a battle with the demons, at that time he sought the help of an Ikshvaku king, so one of Lord Ram's ancestors. So this ancestor of Lord Ram went up to the heavenly planets, and over there he fought with the demons. And while they were fighting, this king's chariot broke. And because the chariot broke, Indra himself took the form of a bull, and the king sat on the hump of that bull, and he fought that battle, and he um, defeated the demons. So now the hump of a bull is known as Kaku, and the person who is standing on that hump is known as Kakutstha. So the descendant of that personality is known as Kakutstha. So when Lord Ram forgave Jayanta, who was Jayanta? Jayanta was none other than the son of Indra. Lord Rama remembered that, Indra had once offered my ancestor protection by becoming his chariot, or by becoming his vehicle. So when Lord Ram thought about that, he said that, okay, because Indra had rendered service to me in the past by helping one of my ancestors, he says, I will also remember that service, and therefore I will not kill this son of Indra. So Lord Ram was so grateful, not just to something that was done to him in this present life, but something that was done to his ancestors many, 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 many generations ago. And Lord Ram remembered that, and he was able to forgive Jayanta. So from this, we understand how Lord Ram was Kritagya. Kritagya means that he who never forgets any small deed of goodness that is done towards him. That is why in bhakti it's very good, like that is why Krishna also says, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhakti uparatam ashnami prayatatmanaha, which means that if one gives to me even something very small like flower, leaf, fruit, or something like that. Um, Even if you give something like that, Krishna says that I will gladly accept it. And we see in the case of Sudama also, the Lord accepted the little rice that he had to offer. And in return for that, he gave him the entire three worlds. So actually, the Lord does not require anything of us. Like the Lord just requires our sincere devotion. Now, that does not mean that we should not give anything to the Lord, because Yudhishthir Maharaj gave everything to the Lord. So the amount we give to the Lord shows how much we actually want to serve Him. So if we just say, oh nahi, Bhagwan to bhav ke bhooke hain, Krishna only wants bhav, but what kind of bhav is this? That you don't want to offer anything to Krishna. You just want to offer Krishna something mentally. If you want to offer something to Krishna mentally, then Krishna will also just in his mind, he will say, yeah, that's okay. I'll give him moksha at some point. Like Krishna will reciprocate. So if we try to actually genuinely offer something to Krishna, then Krishna becomes obliged, and Krishna will also then make sure that that devotee is protected at all costs. So here that is a representation of the Lord's quality of Kritagya, or his gratitude. So that we have discussed Kritagya. Then the next quality of the Lord is Satyavakya. Now, this is quite an interesting quality. Satyavakya means one who only speaks the truth, or one who presents things as they are without distorting them as well. So, this quality of the Lord, can anyone tell me a pastime where this quality is magnified, or does anyone know of a pastime where this quality of the Lord is shown, that he is Satyavakya? Are people there, or like asleep, like not
वो
listening?
तो हमेशा ही सत्य
We are
बोलते थे।
there.
Okay. He always spoke the truth, but I know we say that, but like, is there any particular quality you can tell me, or any particular time you can tell me where this pastime was shown?
Prabhu, being a right head of King Dashrath's next of Ayodhya,
Hmm.
he clearly said that he is not after that all opulences,
Hmm.
and then he proved right. He went to the jungle happily,
Hmm.
and also during the sorry, I'm quite.
Yeah. No, that's okay. I'll tell you one very interesting pastime actually. There's one very, very interesting pastime which you might find very surprising. You might not have thought about it in this way. So, when Kekai asks Dashrath to send Lord Ram into the forest, at that time, Dashrath Maharaj, he makes one very important statement. He says that Lord Ram is a Satyavakya. He makes this quality. He says that he's a Satyavakya, that just by his speaking the truth, he has earned, or he has won all of the three worlds, which means that just by speaking the truth, he has become the rightful heir of Bhur Bhuva Swaha. Or some people also they say that uh, the three worlds may refer to earth, Brahmaloka, and the spiritual world. So it can the three worlds can mean two different things. So basically, Dashrath Maharaj was saying that just by his speaking the truth, he has won over all of these three worlds. He has become the rightful owner of all of these three worlds. Now, this statement is quite interesting. Actually, every statement in Ramayana is very, very important, and it comes to play at a particular time. Once upon a time, there was one king of Chola dynasty who was a very, very adherent devotee of Lord Ram. And he was listening to this Ramayana Katha. And at that time, the description of Jatayu came. And that, when Lord Ram goes to Jatayu and he says that, you have fought for me, you tried to protect Sita, and he became so happy, he became so absorbed in bliss that at that time, what did Lord Ram say? Lord Ram said, Gacha Lokha Anuttamam, which means he says that you go to the highest planet in this entire realm, which means Lord Ram was saying you go to Vaikuntha. So the Chola king asked the reciter of Ramayana at that time, he asked the Brahmana, how is it possible for a man, or because Lord Ram was in the form of a man at that time. So he says, how is it possible for the Lord, even though he's playing the part of a man, to send Jatayu to the spiritual world? He says it doesn't make any sense to me because a man cannot send anyone to the spiritual world. So how is that possible? So then at that time, that Chola, the Brahmana, he smiled and he said, don't you remember that in Ayodhya Kanda, Dashratha had said that just by speaking the truth, just by being a Satya Vakya, Lord Ram had won all of the three worlds. So he says, a person who has won all of the three worlds, what harm is there if he gives Jatayu the spiritual world? Which means essentially what this means, what does it mean by speaking the truth? You have won over the three worlds. It means that a person who adheres to dharma throughout their life, who speaks the truth, actually whatever they say will come true. So we have many examples of this in history also, that, like when a particular person has been practicing dharma for a very long time and who always just speaks the truth, then even if they say something which may not be the truth, eventually that ends up being the truth. So the whole universe actually molds according to their direction. That is the power of Satyavakya, and that is the power of dharma. Nowadays, we don't believe in the power of Satyavakya and we don't believe in the power of Dharma, but that doesn't mean it's not there. So when a dharmic person they says something, actually this used to be the case even like up until a few hundred years ago. I remember hearing from one of the sannyasis that their grandmother was like she used to be a very simple woman in living in the villages of India, but she was very chaste and she was very truthful, like she never uttered a lie in her life. So much so that people would bring their pregnant wives to, or pregnant daughter-in-laws to that grandmother, and they would ask her, is it going to be a boy or is it going to be a girl? And she would just say, yeah, this is going to be a girl, this is going to be a boy, and that prediction would come out true. Why? Because she had practiced dharma all of her life. So even if that was not the case, even if, she might have mistook it for a girl or mistook it for a boy, eventually that would end up happening. And that is what the sannyasi was explaining, that this is actually the power of dharma and speaking the truth. That if you speak the truth all the time, then eventually you get the power to actually make things happen according to your will. Like whatever you say will actually come true. So that is why the Brahmana told the Chola king that because Lord Ram was always a speaker of the truth, what harm was there if he said that, Jatayu is going to go to the spiritual world? Of course, he'll go to the spiritual world. So he doesn't have to be acting in the form of the Supreme Lord to send Jatayu to the spiritual world. Just by his desire or just by his wish to send Jatayu to the spiritual world, he can do that. So this is the quality of the Lord known as Satyavakya. So quite an interesting pastime. And unfortunately, it's 8 o'clock, I think, in according to your time, and we've completed 1 hour. So I might have to stop there, even though we have only discussed 5 qualities, hoping we can continue with the remaining 11 qualities next week. So are there any questions or anything you'd like to share or anything you'd like to discuss? We can do that now.
Hare Krishna, Rohini-tanaya. You said that Ram knew everything from Hanuman. He had done all his homework about the weaknesses of Lanka.
Hmm.
But when we see, when we read or when we see movies, they say that Ram had to kill at the navel, and that was only told by Vibhishan. Is that right or wrong?
No, that is not there in Valmiki Ramayana actually. So actually, when Lord Ram was fighting against Ravan, at that time, the only person he had contact with was Matali. Matali is the charioteer of Indra. So Indra had personally sent his own chariot. We have this wrong image of Lord Ram fighting with Ravan sitting on the back of Hanuman. Actually, that was not the case. That did not happen. Lord Ram was actually sitting on the chariot of Indra, and Indra's personal charioteer Matali was riding Lord Ram. So it is explained that as the battle was going on, at that time Matali says to Lord Ram that I think it is time for you to completely kill this demon. So then the Lord says, okay, sure. So then the Lord takes his arrow, he fixes it on his bow, and he fires it at Ravana in his chest. It is described. And when Lord Ram fires that arrow, Ravana just falls down dead. So there is no description of him having like a pot of nectar in his belly, and unless that pot of nectar is broken, then he will die. Like there, none of that description is there in Ramayana. So actually, yeah, and he didn't consult with Vibhishana at that time also. So Vibhishana had nothing to say because there was no pot of nectar in his belly. Like that is also a misconception. He received the boon from Brahma that he will remain immortal at the hands of all creatures except humans and monkeys, but he didn't really have a pot of nectar in his belly. So that whole story actually is incorrect. And yeah, because they show it in movies, that's why we generally tend to believe it as well.
हरे कृष्णा
Hare Krishna.
कोई ऐसा एग्जाम्पल है जिसमें वो कुछ मिरेकल दिखाते हैं
कौन?
राम
कहाँ पे मिरेकल दिखाते हैं?
दिखाते हैं तो
आपका एको बहुत आ रहा है एक्चुअली. आई थिंक आपके उसमें दो होंगे. आई थिंक कम ऑन. आई थिंक आपको एक बंद
हेलो
कर.
हाँ
हाँ.
मतलब कोई भी एग्जाम्पल जिसमें राम ने कुछ मिरेकल दिखाया हो.
ओ, रामायण में कोई ऐसा एग्जाम्पल जिसमें राम ने मिरेकल दिखाया? हाँ, there are many examples. First one is obviously Ahilya. Like Balkand say, if we start, first example is of Ahilya, like how Lord Ram, as soon as he entered into the ashram of Gautam Muni, Ahilya became transformed from an invisible object to a woman. That was the very first one. Then second one, we see how he broke the bow of Shiva. Then we see how in the forest he killed 14,000 demons single-handedly. So Lord Ram showed a lot of miracles actually to show that he is not just an ordinary man and that he is the Supreme Lord. So yeah, that is there.
छोटू को दिखा दो.
Hmm?
छोटू किधर है? छोटू
वो there,
मुझे भी देखना है.
he's sleeping right now actually.
अरे सोता हुआ दिखा दो.
अरे he's sleeping with his mother.
ओके. अच्छा कैसे? आर यू ऑल सेट?
Yeah, we are okay. We are
कितने
set.
बज रहे हैं उधर? उधर कितने बज रहे हैं?
11 o'clock in the morning actually.
So you joined the work,
Yeah, I started 2 weeks ago.
and how do you feel different from here?
No, it's quite different. Quite different, but in one way it's good. Training and all of that is quite nice.
Yeah, training is good. Sudha is settled well,
Yeah, she is fine.
coping with the baby.
Huh?